Hello everyone, welcome back for what is now our fifth session of the day. With us we have Christina Petracchi, who is the FAO e-learning team leader in capacity development for the Food and Agriculture Organization. Her work consists in managing and coordinating the design, development, delivery and language adaptations of e-learning courses and associated face-to-face training packages for use by member countries. I'll leave the rest to you, Christina. The floor is yours. And as always, I encourage you all to continue discussing and chatting in the box, and we'll get back to questions with Christina at the end of her presentation.
Thank you very much, Anthony, and hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you this afternoon. This is an excellent opportunity to share with you a little bit the FAO experience and what we have been doing in the last 10 years in e-learning. I would like to share with you a little bit the initiatives, the different partners we've been working with, and a little bit of our methodology. So just as a start, I wanted to inform you all that we have the e-learning center, which is available at this link here that you can see. And the objective of the FAO e-learning center is to provide e-learning courses for free as a global public good in different languages, and to allow the transfer of competences, skills and knowledge in order to allow countries from the south to be more competitive and autonomous without having to migrate to the north. So we have reached up to now around 450,000 learners throughout the world. And it's really our philosophy is education for all, anytime, anywhere, and for free. So if you didn't have a chance to have a look, I'm inviting you to whenever you can to visit the e-learning center and access our courses, which actually cover a number of thematic areas which cover the main global challenges, the thematic areas which cover the main global challenges, like, for example, climate change is one of them, food and nutrition security, but also the responsible governance of tenure for land, fisheries, and forestry. So basically, and also social protection and resilience, gender issues, everything related to the formulation and implementation of gender-sensitive policies, which are appropriate for men and for women and for their needs, basically. Monitoring and evaluation, but also markets, investments, and a number of courses related to information and knowledge sharing and management. So if you access the e-learning course, you will have a series of categories, and in the categories that you select, you have access to the different courses. In my unit, in the e-learning center of FAO, what we offer basically three services. We design, develop, and deliver e-learning programs. We also support the delivery of face-to-face interventions. But we also do blended learning programs in which different methods are combined. So very often we combine online with face-to-face, with a mentoring period. So we organize these blended learning programs. And what I wanted to say is that everything we do is done in collaboration. These are only just a few of the partners we have been working with. Our philosophy is to partner as much as possible and to collaborate in the different phases, in the design, in the development, in the delivery of our learning events. We also regularly run evaluation surveys, and our learners, what we're trying to assess through our evaluation surveys is not only if the learners have liked the course, of course, if they enjoyed it, etc., but mainly if they were able to apply the knowledge, skills, and competences acquired in their work environment. And we usually have very good results. We run these surveys regularly. I will not go into the details of the workflow we follow because all of this has been covered in detail in the MOOC itself, and the instructional designers in my team have gone into all the adult learning theories and the different learning strategies that are used. But very briefly, the design of every learning intervention, so the learning needs assessment, is done collaboratively. We usually organize consultative workshops with the target audience. Together with them and with field practitioners, we identify the needs of the target audience, we identify their job tasks, and from their job tasks, we then extract the knowledge, competences, and skills which have to be included in the curriculum. We then work with experts throughout the world to develop the content. We then work with a team of instructional designers to adapt the content for distance learning. And in this phase, the content is analyzed, and according to the different types of content, different learning strategies are used. Of course, for procedures, you have specific learning strategies. For principle-based, you have different learning strategies like scenario-based learning. You can introduce scenarios, you can introduce storytelling. So according to the different type of content, different learning strategies are used by our instructional designers. We also work with a number of partners throughout the world for the language adaptation. What we actually do is a localization of the content, which means that the content is the images, the case studies, the examples, the resources, everything is adapted to the language environment. So it is a localization process. And for that, we work with institutions in Latin America, with others based in Asia and others based in Africa for this localization process. Because we also, these courses are offered in different languages. So, and then we go into course production and delivery. We make sure that the courses are available on different platforms, different browsers, different language platforms also, because we need to make sure that the person in China is able to visualize it, in an Arabic-speaking country also. So we make sure that everything is fully tested in all the different platforms. And then, so after the curriculum design workshop, as I was telling you, we gather a series of facts, concepts, procedures, principles, processes, but also everything related to interpersonal skills is also part of the curriculum. The ability to communicate, for example, is sometimes included as part of, or the ability to negotiate, because sometimes it's not only important to know how to do things, but it's also important how to communicate them. So this is why all types of skills, even those who are interpersonal, are captured and included in the curriculum. What is important to understand is that the purpose is not to include everything we know about the subject in a course, but to try to target as much as possible and tailor the content for it to be relevant to the target audience. So this is why everything we do is done with a very thorough analysis at the beginning of the target audience. And once we understand who they are, what are their job tasks, their job responsibilities, their roles, from there we then extract the knowledge and the competences and the skills that they need to acquire to better perform those specific tasks. So it is really a learner-centered and a task-oriented approach that we use. What I wanted to do, what I wanted to say is, as I was mentioning, we use a lot of scenario-based, especially for principle-based content. We use scenarios in our courses. And what we also often offer is when we have very big courses, we offer the possibility to have specific personalized learning paths according to the specific needs and interests of people. So we have a questionnaire at the beginning And according to the answers that you give to the questionnaire, which are all task-oriented, there are some specific lessons which are identified for your own specific needs and interests. What we try to do also is to respond to the needs of a global audience. So, as you know, in many countries, connectivity is still an issue. In many countries, electricity is an issue. So, what we make sure is that everything, all the learning resources are available on CD-ROM. They are all available through the FAO e-learning center. They are all downloadable, so people can download it to their computer, make it available in their own intranet of their institution. We also create for every single course an e-learning, a face-to-face package, which is equivalent to the e-learning version, that anybody can use anywhere in the world to train in a face-to-face environment. And then what we also do is we regularly organize online tutored courses. In that case, you have a cohort of individuals who are able to share experiences, to share their knowledge, and this is a very enriching type of learning experience, because you have people from different regions of the world sharing about a specific topic, sharing their own experience. So, and you have a tutor that guides them in their learning experience. Usually this is also very interesting for learners because it is a certified, it ends up with a certification, which is very interesting for learners. What we also do, this is also important, as I mentioned, we are partnering with a number of institutions, so we work a lot with development agencies, with all the UN. For example, most of the UN agencies are using our e-learning courses to train their own staff. So for example, UNHCR, WFP, UNICEF, they are using our e-learning courses to upload them in their learning platform to train their own staff. We are working with the International Federation of Red Cross. They are using our courses for all their volunteers worldwide. We are working with the European Union. So the European Union uploads these courses in their learning platform, and the EU delegations at national level are using these courses to develop their own skills and competences. We are working a lot with the universities, so we are partnering with networks of universities to try to strengthen universities from the south. So in this case, what we're trying to do is to do an institutional and an individual capacity development, because as I was mentioning, it is then the universities themselves which are able to certify using our courses. We are doing this with many networks, for example, UDWAL in Latin America, the Unión de las Universidades de América Latina. We're working with the Open University of Catalonia, with the African Virtual University. I am telling you this also to try to let you know also who we are partnering with, in case you are interested in having some contacts or some. We are here to share as much as possible everything we know. And we are working also with civil society and NGOs with whom we are sharing our resources. And for example, we are working with LINGOS, which is a large international NGO. It's a network of about 80 humanitarian and development NGOs, and they use our courses to train their staff. So this is just to let you know that it is not only delivered through the e-learning center, but we are doing a major effort to try to disseminate them as possible and share them for free with anyone. Also, I would like to mention very briefly that we are working with CTA and UNITAR specifically on the use of social media to help developing countries try to benefit as much as possible from the potential of social media. And we regularly conduct online tutored courses with UNITAR on a course called Innovative Collaboration for Development, and it is on the use of social media. And what we try to do is to regularly document also the experiences of learners. So we have here the wiki. You can see here the link, and you can access the different stories, and you can read about the different experiences of these people and how life-changing this course has been for them. Also, I would like to just give just a few examples of, as I was mentioning before, one of the services we offer is also to design blended learning programs. So we have been working a lot also with GIZ and the German government, and we have designed a specific blended learning program for ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So it's about 10 countries in Asia. We have been designing other learning programs for COMESA. These are the countries that we have been working with, and also the Francophone ECOWAS countries. And for these different regions, what we have done, as I mentioned before, these learning programs have been specifically designed for their own needs. So what we have done is we have gone and worked with the regions, with the different people from the different professionals from the different countries that were involved. And we have worked with the target audience, identified their specific needs, identified the job tasks we wanted to target and improve. And from there, we have designed specific learning programs to respond to those needs. And these learning programs included an online facilitated workshop, followed by a face-to-face workshop, and then followed by a mentoring period of three months. And in that period, basically, professionals could access the platform and ask the advice of the tutors on how to basically apply the different competences in their real-life situation in their country. So it was like a constant support in order to have a continuous learning intervention, and not only a very punctual one. And just to let you know, for the future, we are working on an extensive nutrition and food systems course, which will then be delivered through the FAO e-learning center. We're working on resilience in the context of food security. We are developing an e-learning course on agricultural risk assessment and management. And also, we are planning to develop one on responsible agriculture investments. These are just among the topics, just to let you know that this is coming in case you are interested in one of these topics. And for the time being, I think that this is what I wanted to share with you. And I would like to thank you very much for your attention and for your time. And I am available for any kind of question you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina, for the fascinating presentation. So looking at the chats we've been having, it seems that there's quite a bit of interest in how you actually do online mentoring. So Heather asks, how do you do the online mentoring? We also have a question from Sibylla asking if participants on their personal learning paths are facilitated and if they're accompanied by a facilitator, learning expert, or tutor.
Okay, so I'll start by responding to these two. Thank you, Anthony. So regarding the mentoring period, usually what we do is we use Moodle as our platform for the online tutored part of the blended learning program. And so the different participants have access, they have specific assignments, they have specific tasks to follow, and the tutor is there to make sure that they are actually performing the way they have to. What happens is that once the online tutored course is over, we keep the platform running, still running, for a period of 3 to 6 months, where we use the forum part of the platform to allow the participants to ask any type of technical support to the mentors, basically. So which are always available online to provide this support. Not only, but since the other participants are also have still access, they can also share what they have been doing in their country in that topic. So it is a support that is provided mainly by the tutors, but it's also very useful to listen to what the peers have to say about what's going on in their country on that topic. So it is, let's say, a peer-to-peer plus a tutor-supported basically exercise. And regarding the personal learning path, no, usually in our self-paced courses, which are very extensive, we usually foresee the possibility to have a personal learning path designed, but it is something that the learner does on his own. So the learner goes and there is a questionnaire. And the questionnaire is designed is based on the different tasks, the job tasks that you might be interested in learning about. So all the questions are you interested in knowing better how to do this? Are you interested in your institution in how to better, and all the questions are twisted towards the various job tasks. According to the answers you provide to the different questions, the system behind is automatically identifying and selecting the most appropriate lessons for you to go through. And this is done because there is a matrix that the instructional designers designed behind the system. There is a matrix which basically combines the content of the lesson with the profile of the target audience with the different job tasks. And since there is this matrix that combines all this information, we ask the specific questions that allow them to identify the lessons which are most suited to your needs and to your interests. I hope this has been clear. But if you need more information, we can provide you with additional information on how to design these personal learning paths.
That's quite fascinating. We have another question from Chamika about, are there any practical components for these courses?
Practical, do you mean to apply?
Just waiting for Chamika to answer in chat. Hands-on practical.
Hands-on practical in some of them, yes. Some of them which are highly technical, for example, related to GIS and related to remote sensing, etc. We have sheets of data tables, etc., where the learner has to enter the data, etc., and where the system automatically checks if you have done it correctly. And then the other practical thing is that throughout all the courses, we have knowledge assessment tests, which allow you to interact with the system and assess if you have actually understood the different concepts which are being covered in the courses. So this is how we do it. So basically through knowledge assessment tests which are throughout, consider that this is all done online. So this is as far as we can go, also online.
Earlier in your presentation, you were saying, you were stressing that collaborations are very much strength of your approach. One of the things I was wondering is, do those collaborations always go the right way, or are there sometimes conflicts between some of the collaborators and your instructional designers? And what would you say are the best practices for your collaboration?
I think that, what is very important, whatever you want to do, is to understand the needs of your target audience. Because some people have the time to interact and collaborate in a platform. Some people want to go and have the opportunity to learn on their own. So what is very important is to design learning interventions which respond to the needs of your target audience. At the end of the day, I think that this is the most important thing to remember. Whatever you choose, whatever method you choose, if you're going to choose a collaborative method, if you're going to use a self-paced method, if you're going to use a face-to-face intervention, what I think that the most important part is to understand the needs of your target audience and to respond to those needs. And among those needs, there is also the time. Time constraints have to be taken into consideration. So sometimes people prefer to just do some courses on their own, have the possibility to print them and go through them on their own. I don't know if this is what you were asking, Anthony.
I think that is close enough to what I was asking. At the moment, there don't seem to be any additional questions, although it seems that Volker is typing something. Okay, so Volker is asking if you have any experiences with new learning formats like augmented learning or gamification.
No, at the moment we don't, but we are planning to explore that, and mainly not because our instructional designers are not knowledgeable in these subjects, but mainly because we have technical constraints. Because we have developed our own authoring tool in-house with our developers, and there are some constraints. So we are trying to develop also the possibility to include gamification and augmented reality. We use videos, which is of course the minimum, but we are trying to improve the type of methods that could be incorporated in the authoring tool. So at the moment, no.
Okay, and Sibylla would like to know what quality models you use for your evaluation. While Volker also asks if you're using mobile learning.
Everything we do is going to be HTML5 compatible, so it will be compatible with iPads, not with iPhones at the moment. Also because for iPhones, at the moment our instructional designers are acquiring all the skills to design courses for iPhone. But I must say that it is very important to understand the limitations also. I mean, the idea is really good about the mobile learning. The idea is really attractive, let's say. But concretely, there are some limitations to the type of content and the amount of content and the type of technical content that you can also convey through a very small screen. So according to the device you are going to use, it is also very important to use appropriate instructional design strategies where you use other methods instead of having text, maybe adding audio and video to compensate. I mean, but everything has to be redesigned. You cannot just import a standard course that you visualize on a computer or on an iPad and just transfer it automatically on an iPhone. This is absolutely not possible. So it's important, I think, when we move to iPhone, to understand what are the limitations and what's the potential, and try to look at what can be done actually, and redesign everything, bearing in mind the limitations, I must say.
Okay, so it seems the last two questions are both related to quality assurance. Sibylla is asking what quality models you make use of for evaluation, while Elaine is asking how you assess the success of the facilitators.
I think that the success of the facilitator is assessed by the performance of the performance of learners. I think that this is also a good indicator. And actually, I think that the ability of the facilitator is even more important than the content you are trying to convey through the platform. Because the purpose of, I think, of collaborative events is to also benefit as much as possible from the interaction between individuals. And therefore, and when you do this online, it requires a lot of skills because there are a lot of human differences that people need to be aware of. Some people have issues with their grades, some with their religion, some with their, I don't know. I mean, there are many, the human differences, there are many things to understand and to know in order to make an online event successful. And I think that the more the tutor knows about human differences and how to involve everyone and how to maybe limit the interventions of some while promoting interventions of those who are not contributing a lot. I mean, all of this requires a lot of skills, and I think that, in my opinion, the role of the facilitator and his or her abilities to facilitate the exchange of knowledge is crucial. And this is reflected, this at the end, the ability of the tutor is reflected in the performance of learners at the end of the day, because if they perform well and if they have accomplished all the tasks that they have to, it means that the tutor was a good professional in his role. Regarding the evaluation, we of course use Kirkpatrick's, but it is extremely, of course, it is almost impossible to reach the 4th level of the return on investment. So we stop at the application level. So we try to really understand, and we keep at least 6 months time frame between the release and the release of the course and the evaluation, to make sure that people have had the time to apply the competencies. And what we are interested in is actually this, is to understand how learners were able to change their behaviors in their work environment, how they were able to apply these competencies in their work environment. This is what we are looking for through the questionnaire. And then also you were asking about the quality. I must say that throughout the entire process of development and delivery of our courses, but also our learning interventions, we use the ECB check criteria, and we try to use a collaborative approach also in almost all the phases. So I think that using a collaborative approach is also makes the things maybe more complex to organize, but the product is much richer, and the process is much more enriching if you involve more professionals in the workflow. So these are my answers to the question.
Thanks so much, Christina. I'll let you get a breath. If you would bear with us, we have one more question from the group. Yanaka asks, what is the average completion rate, and do you have any strategies for learner motivation?
Yeah, the completion rate for the self-paced, I mean, it really depends on the self-motivation of learners. When we do online tutored courses, we really invest a lot of effort and energy in trying to get almost 100%, basically, because we follow the learners one by one. And what I think that a good way of improving the successful rate is to try to always be in contact with the learner and understand their constraints and needs. For example, we were running a blended learning program in Africa, and we noticed that many of the participants were not sending their assignments. And then when we started communicating with them to try to understand why and how come, etc., and it was because they were struggling with the connectivity issues. So we tried to find, first of all, we have extended the deadlines, and we have tried to use other methods for them to send us the content. So instead of sending us the content through the platform, we have allowed email, etc. So I think that a key factor to success is flexibility, number one, and two is to be very close to your learner needs and to their constraints, I think, and to be flexible and adapt to their needs. So even if you had a deadline for the end of the event, etc., sometimes to extend it could help also.
Thank you so much for your answers, Christina. This has been an extremely intensive 35 minutes. And judging by the reaction in the chat, I can say that all the participants enjoyed it very much. As I've mentioned throughout the day, this presentation has been recorded and the PowerPoint will be available on the platform. Our next session will be in 25 minutes with Dr. Eric Tambo from UMU, presenting the Quality Assurance Certification via the OpenECD Check initiative. As we have throughout the day, we'll now close the room for a few minutes and you will all be automatically added to the room again at 2 p.m. Universal Time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Anthony. Bye-bye.